What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is, I believe, number 13 in the My Pilot Journey series. Something I created to give my kids a better understanding of who I am and hopefully to inspire them. Just about all of us can remember where we were when 9/11 occurred. I am no exception. For those of us who was in the military, it's the day that changed our lives. First of all, when you join the military, you never really think that you're going to have to go to war. It's not something that's in the forefront of your mind. In fact, if you ask most people who join the military, none of them will say, "Well, I expect to go to war." It's one of those subconscious things that could happen and may happen because that's what the military does, but it's not something you really spend a lot of time thinking about. We were in Lancaster, California at my in-laws' place on a pre-deployment vacation, and I was asleep when my kid's great grandfather said, "Philip, Philip." So I got up, I rushed into the living room just in time to see the second plane hit the second tower. He then looks at me and said, "You're about to go to war." 3 minutes later, my phone rang. It was the duty officer on board the ship I was attached to telling me I need to return to the ship ASAP. The ship was based in Norfolk, Virginia. We had taken a vacation all the way in California. Naturally, I wasn't able to get back immediately because they had grounded all the flights. It took me about 3 days before I could actually make it back there. In transitioning from California to the East Coast and specifically Norfolk, Virginia, I went through Boston. And I'm going through security. I showed my military ID. And one of the security guard, I believe he was a police officer, saw it. And he looks at me and he asks, "So, what do you do?" And my response to him was, "I build bombs," because that's what I did at the time. And he said to me, "Well, that sucks for you. You're going to have a lot of work now." And I remembered looking at him in anger because I'm thinking to myself, how is it possible that this airport lose so many planes in one day to a few guys with box cutters? I'm going over there, I'm going to war because of your incompetence or your team's incompetence. The what struck me about his reaction was a lack of understanding of what we were about to do, what war is. Before I left Lancaster, Lancaster, California, to head back to Norfolk, there was this euphoric, very supportive, all inclusive attitude of the American population. Everyone wanted a strong response, and everyone was very supportive of such a response. Everyone was hurting, and everyone was asking for a response that was either proportional or worse than what we had experienced. The same thing happened during Pearl Harbor. Every time the country is attacked, there is this uprising to respond. This time was no different. So I finally make it back to Virginia, I called my then wife and said, "Hey, I'm in Virginia. We'll be leaving in a few days." We got to the Middle East. I don't know where we were, but what I remember of that night was we showed up at midnight, and I knew it was midnight because I checked my watch. And we just started doing what is it we were sent there to do. There was no pause. We did it all night. Prior to that, when I first got stationed on this particular ship, people would say, when this particular ship shows up on a country's shoreline or on a country's shorefront, they should be afraid. They should be very afraid. And I'm thinking to myself, that's just nonsense. You know how we in the military are. We like to think that we're bigger than we actually are. That night, that statement made true. We showed up and we annihilated that country in 6 hours. This particular arsenal in the US military is lethal. The only thing worse than this thing showing up at your door front is a nuclear weapon. This thing is bad for any enemy of this country. I've seen it at work firsthand. All it probably took us about 3 days to get to where we needed to be. All this time, we are assembling ordnance and we are staging them in a particular area on this ship. At one point, we had half the size of a football field of ordnance all over the place. I probably went to bed at 1 a.m. I woke up at 7 a.m. and all that ordnance was gone. We dropped all of them in one night. It was total devastation. My experience of going to war. First of all, I don't like war, but I understand the necessity of war. Sometimes people are not inclined to listen to influential words. Sometimes they believe that their thought process is better, is superior than everyone else. And thus, they have what they think is a God given right to impose their way of thinking onto others. It is incumbent upon us who has the strength to prevent such individuals from gaining a foothold or from allowing their thoughts, their philosophy, their ideology from taking a foothold in a society that does not allow such behaviors to flourish. Anytime the rights of a single individual or a group of individuals are in questions, those of us who has the authority to make sure that type of behavior is not implemented have a responsibility to do so. The United States did this, and the United States always do this. It's the one thing I am proud of from my time in the military service. Everywhere we went, we took our values with us. Our values didn't take a vacation. When we took shore leave, we behaved as though we were in the US military representing the United States. And every member of the US military to this day exercise this very principle. All right, guys. I think that's it for this one. I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, be good.